So this story was sent to me by someone on Reddit. He didn't want to share his name, and honestly, after reading what he went through, I don't blame him. He told me this happened sometime last year when he moved into a cheap apartment-style hostel in Chicago for work. Nothing fancy, just a temporary stay until he could find something better. At first, everything seemed normal, but within a few days, things started getting weird. Really weird. He said he's not the kind of guy who believes in ghosts, demons, or any of that stuff. But what happened inside that building, specifically inside Unit 103, changed the way he looks at the world. And after reading his full story, I think it'll change the way you look at certain places, too. I had just landed a contract job in Chicago. Nothing glamorous, just a night shift data entry role for a freight company on the south side. Since I was only going to be there for about 6 months, I didn't want to commit to a full lease or spend a fortune on rent. That's how I found this place, a shared living apartment complex near Lower West Side. It was advertised as budget housing for working professionals, but in reality, it was a halfway house with paper-thin walls and aging floorboards. The listing on Craigslist didn't show many photos, just a short description and a note that there were no background checks, and move-in was immediate. That should have been a red flag, but the price was right, and I didn't have a lot of options. The building was an old brick structure that looked like it hadn't been renovated since the 70s. No lobby, no front desk, just a narrow hallway that smelled like dust and bleach. I met the guy managing it, older dude named Gary. His shirt was stained, and his left eye twitched when he talked. "You're in Unit 103, he told me while handing over a single key. "Just down the hall, second door on the left. One thing, though, don't move the bed." I stared at him. "What?" "Just leave the bed where it is. Don't shift it. It's heavy anyway. You'll be fine." That was all he said. No paperwork, no tour. He walked off without even making sure the key worked. Unit 103 was a box, nothing more. The floorboards squeaked every time I moved. There was a bed shoved tight against the far wall, a small nightstand, a chipped wooden desk, and a plastic chair with one broken leg. The blinds on the window didn't fully close, and a flickering streetlight outside kept pulsing light into the room like a dying heartbeat. I was too tired to care. I dropped my duffel bag, kicked off my boots, and lay down on the bed. It wasn't comfortable. The springs dug into my back, and the mattress smelled faintly of mildew. But it was quiet. Too quiet. That first night, I remember lying awake for hours. I kept feeling like something was just off. It wasn't any one thing, more like a pressure in the air, like when someone stands too close behind you and doesn't say anything. I didn't fall asleep until well after 3 a.m. Then came the knocks. I woke up to a sound right next to my head. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. Not on the door, on the wall, the same wall the bed was pressed against. I sat up fast, a heart hammering. I stayed still, listening. The hallway was dead quiet. Nobody walked past. No footsteps from upstairs. Just stillness. Then again, 3 knocks. This time from the opposite wall. I flipped the lamp on and sat there for almost 20 minutes, just waiting for something else. Nothing happened. Eventually, I convinced myself it was the pipes or maybe rats in the wall, but something didn't sit right. The next morning, my boots were in the closet. I hadn't put them there. I chalked it up to being tired. Maybe I did it and forgot, but it kept happening. The toothbrush I'd left on the sink was in the trash. My phone charger went missing, then turned up under the desk drawer. The overhead light flickered sometimes. Only between 2 and 3 a.m., I started sleeping with the lamp on. On the 5th night, I heard it again. Whispers, Not words exactly, more like breathy murmurs. They came from the wall, right behind my head. I leaned closer, straining to hear. Then, clear as day, I heard a voice say, "It's still here." I turned on every light and checked the entire room. Nothing. No one in the hallway. I even knocked on the neighbors' doors. Nobody answered. That night, I stayed awake. I set my phone to record and left it on the desk, facing the bed. I didn't catch any voices, but around 3:07 a.m., the footage jumped. Just for a second. One frame flickered, and then it was fine again. When I paused the video at that exact frame, I felt my stomach twist. There was something under the bed, a shape, just barely visible, like a person crouched under the frame, face down, facing the floor. But when I checked under the bed in real time, there was nothing. I tried to move the bed to see if something had fallen, or if maybe the floor was uneven. And that's when I realized something weird. The bed wouldn't move. It was light, a metal frame with plastic wheels, but it felt bolted in place, like the floor had latched onto it. I pushed harder. The whole thing shuddered forward a few inches, and then I saw it. The wall behind the bed. Long, vertical scratches, deep ones, like something had clawed down through drywall and plaster. And in the center of those gouges, written in what looked like something old and black and sticky, were the words, "Put it back." I couldn't sleep after that. The words behind the bed, "Put it back," burned into my brain like they'd been carved into the inside of my skull. I kept replaying the video frame over and over. That figure beneath the bed, its limbs bent at awkward angles, head tucked in a way no living person could hold, was burned into my vision like an afterimage. I called in sick the next day. I told my manager I had food poisoning. Truthfully, I just didn't want to leave the apartment unattended. I was terrified that if I left and came back, something would be waiting for me. Something that didn't want me to be there. I opened every drawer, every cabinet, even pulled up the rug. I couldn't find anything that explained the scratches behind the bed or the words on the wall. And every time I tried to move the bed again, the floor felt like it resisted me. Not literally, not with hands or strength, just like I wasn't supposed to. At around 5 p.m., I knocked on the door across the hall. A young woman answered, probably in her early 30s, pale skin, big eyes. She looked exhausted. "Hey, I'm in 103, I said. "Sorry to bother you, Have you ever heard weird noises at night? Like knocking or whispering?" She didn't answer at first. Then she stepped halfway into the hallway and closed the door behind her. "You just moved in?" she asked. "Yeah, a few days ago." She stared at me for a long time. Then she whispered, "Don't stay in that room. Seriously." "Why? What happened in there?" Her eyes flicked toward the door like she was afraid it might be listening. "I don't know the whole story," she said, "but people don't stay in 103 for long. I've seen 3 different tenants in the last year. All of them left in the middle of the night. One of them, I swear, he just disappeared. I heard him screaming. The next day, the room was empty." I felt the cold start from the base of my spine and crawl up my back. "You should leave," she said. "Whatever's in that room, it's not finished." She closed the door gently, without another word. That night, I barely even laid down. I sat at the desk with my back to the wall, eyes fixed on the bed like it was a goddamn loaded gun. I watched the floorboards. I watched the corners. I watched the closet door, which creaked open by itself around 2:50 a.m. and stayed that way. Around 3:12 a.m., I heard something breathing. Not from inside the room, not outside the window. From under the bed. It was slow, deliberate, wet. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I just sat there, frozen, trying not to make a sound. Then I heard it crawl, a dragging noise, long nails against wood. a slithering shift, like something huge and boneless moving its weight inch by inch. I didn't dare look. Every nerve in my body told me not to look. The light flickered, the breathing stopped. Then I heard a voice, right behind me, whisper, "You moved it." I jumped, fell backward out of the chair, and slammed my head on the floor. Everything went black for a second. When I came to, the room was quiet again. The lamp was still on. The chair was still upright. But the bed had moved itself back into place. I ran out of the room barefoot. I didn't stop to grab my phone or wallet or anything. I just ran into the hallway and slammed the door behind me. I stood in the corridor for 10 minutes, heart hammering, sweating through my shirt. When I finally worked up the nerve to go back in, the room was exactly how I'd left it the first day I arrived. Bed against the wall, no scratches, no writing, no sign that anything had ever happened. I thought I was losing my mind. I slept on the floor that night, curled up with the lights on and a kitchen knife in my hand. The next day, I tried to talk to Gary, the building manager. I wanted answers. When I knocked on his office door, room 001 on the ground floor, no one answered. I kept knocking. Finally, the door creaked open just a little. I called his name. Nothing. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. His office looked like it hadn't been used in months. Dust everywhere, stale air, old coffee cups covered in mold. But the weirdest thing? There was a stack of files on the desk. One of them had my name on it. I picked it up. Inside was a copy of my lease, which I never signed. A photo of me standing in the hallway, a still frame of me sleeping on the bed from the first night. My blood ran cold. I dug through the other folders. Each one had a name, a photo, a room number, all from 103. The last file was paper-clipped together, thick and yellow with age. Inside were police reports, photographs, medical documents. Apparently back in 1978, the building had been a low-income psychiatric housing unit. Room 103 had been occupied by a patient named Elias Mercer. He was found dead in his room after neighbors reported screaming. His body had been chewed up. Self-inflicted, they claimed. But the coroner's report said there were bite marks on his back and calves that didn't match human jaws. After his death, several patients in nearby rooms reported seeing someone crawling into their rooms at night. Some said it wore Elias's face. Others said it came from under the bed and dragged itself across the walls. Eventually, the facility shut down. The property was bought, converted, and renamed. But they never did anything about 103. That night, I tried to sleep somewhere else. I booked a motel 15 minutes away, but I couldn't rest. At 3:03 a.m., I got a notification on my phone. It was from the cheap security app I had installed to monitor the room. The motion sensor had gone off. Then another ping, motion detected, closet. Then motion detected, bed. Then motion detected, under bed. The camera showed a live view of my empty room, except it wasn't empty. There was a shape, barely visible, like a shadow made of static, sitting on the bed, just staring at the camera. Then it reached out and slowly covered the lens with its hand. The feed cut to black. After that camera feed cut to black, I sat frozen in the motel bed with the phone still in my hand. The room around me felt colder, like something from the screen had followed me through the pixels. I didn't sleep. I just waited for daylight, watching the front door like something might come knocking from the inside. Around 6:30 a.m., I returned to the apartment. Not because I wanted to, but because part of me needed proof I wasn't insane. The hallway was as still and silent as always. No sign of life. But my door was open, wide open. I stood there for a full minute, trying to work up the nerve to go in. The hallway light flickered once, and then I stepped inside. The apartment looked untouched at first glance, except the air felt wrong, like breathing in dust that wasn't there. Then I noticed the camera, my cheap little motion sensor cam, was shattered, smashed on the ground like it had been thrown. The bed was back in its original place, but the floor beneath it, it wasn't right. The boards had warped. The edges curled like they were rotting. I stepped closer. The wood was soft under my foot, like stepping on meat. I pulled the bed away slowly, ignoring every scream in my brain telling me to stop. What I found underneath stopped my heart cold. The floorboards were gone. In their place was a hole, black, deep, and wide enough for a person to crawl into. A smell hit me, so thick and rotted I gagged. Like old blood and soil, I couldn't see the bottom. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and pointed it down. The light didn't reach anything, just black. I dropped a penny in. No sound. Then, faint scratching, like something far, far below had noticed. I should have left, right then. But I didn't. I went to the building manager's office again. This time the door was locked, and the windows were blacked out. I knocked, pounded, shouted. Nothing. Then I saw the sign taped to the door. Do not disturb. Unit under observation. I stood there for what felt like an hour. Finally, I left. Walked down the street, still wearing the same clothes, still reeking of fear. I found a local library and spent the rest of the day digging through public records. The apartment used to be part of a mental institution, like I'd read in the file. But there were gaps in the records. Entire years missing. Death reports sealed. Renovation permits denied, and then suddenly approved months later, without explanation. There was one consistent thing, though. Room 103 always had incidents. Fire. Moldavian complaints of walls bleeding. One report even said a tenant was found, fused into the floorboards. Though that sounded impossible. I tried to find the names of any survivors. No one. Just vanishing tenants and redacted documents. I returned around dusk. My heart dropped when I saw my door was open again. This time, there was something on the floor. A trail of dirt, leading from the hallway into the hole under the bed. I followed it with my eyes. The trail didn't just go to the hole. It came from it. Something had climbed out. I stood frozen, listening. The apartment was dead silent. Then I heard a creak. From the kitchen, I turned slowly. Standing there just outside the light was a figure. Pale, thin. Its eyes were too wide. Its mouth hung open like it had never learned how to close. It didn't move. It didn't blink. It just stared at me. Then it pointed at the hole under the bed. I backed out of the room, slowly. My heart was pounding so loud I thought it might burst. The figure didn't follow. It just stood there, smiling. But the moment I stepped into the hallway, the door slammed shut. I ran. I spent that night in my car, parked outside a 24-hour grocery store, engine off, doors locked. I sat in silence until sunrise, watching every shadow like it might move. When I finally mustered the courage to go back again, the door to 103 was sealed shut. I mean, sealed. Like someone had bolted a steel plate across it. A sign now hung outside. Maintenance in progress. Do not enter. I tried to ask Gary what was going on. He wasn't in his office, wasn't anywhere in the building. The neighbors wouldn't even answer their doors. That was the last time I saw the apartment. The building changed hands a few weeks later. A corporate name took over, some property management firm with no local office. I called the emergency contact number a dozen times. No answer. They removed 103 from the listings. It's no longer rentable, just gone. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night. Every now and then my phone still pings me from the old camera app. Even though the camera was destroyed, it shows me motion alerts. Always at 3:03 a.m., always from under bed. And last week, I got a new one. The alert said, "Motion detected, front seat." I was driving, alone. I didn't dare look. I just threw the phone out the window and kept driving. I've changed numbers, moved cities, deleted every trace of myself online. But something still watches, still follows. And sometimes, in the dead of night, I hear breathing from under the bed, even when I'm not in a bed, even when I'm not home. After Chicago, I swore I'd never talk about this again. Not to a therapist, not to friends, not even to myself. But I guess silence only makes it stronger. I moved to Seattle because it was far, not because I knew anyone or liked the rain. I just needed to disappear. I took a tech job, quiet, remote, minimal social interaction, no leases. I chose a furnished sublet on the 3rd floor of a bland glass and concrete building in Capitol Hill. Nothing special, but the unit had no crawl space, no underbed storage, no basement. That was all I cared about. At first, things were fine, better than fine. I slept. I even started to forget. But trauma isn't a scar, it's a doorway, and some doors don't stay shut. About 3 weeks after moving in, I noticed the lights flickering. Not all of them, just the lamp on the nightstand, and only around 3 a.m. I didn't make the connection at first. Until one night, I woke up with the distinct feeling that something had brushed against my foot. I sat up. The room was dark, but the lamp was on, flickering, and my phone, plugged into the wall, buzzed with a motion alert. Camera active. No device found. I never installed any camera. The alert came from the same app I'd deleted 7 months ago. The same one tied to the camera that broke. The app had reinstalled itself. I turned on every light in the apartment and scoured every corner. There was nothing. No camera. No bugs. No way for a signal to come through. I uninstalled the app. Again. The next day, it was back. That night, the alerts changed. They no longer came from under bed. They said, inside closet, next to nightstand. Looking up, I disabled Wi-Fi, put my phone in a drawer, tried to sleep. I woke to find the drawer open, the phone placed neatly on my chest, unlocked, showing a live feed. And I swear to you, I saw myself sleeping in that feed. From a second angle, the image flickered, like old VHS tracking lines. Then it turned to static, and then a voice, whispering. It said, "You moved, but you didn't close the door." I screamed, ran into the hallway barefoot in the middle of the night. The neighbors must have heard me. A woman from 2 doors down came out and asked if I was okay. I told her I think someone had broken in. She stared at me for a long moment, then quietly said, "You're in 3B, right?" I nodded. She looked down the hall, like she didn't want anyone to hear, then whispered, "You should sleep somewhere else." I asked her why. She just shook her head and said, "No one stays in that unit more than a month." I didn't go back in that night. I sat on the front steps until the sun rose. Over the next week, I did everything. I changed phones, updated passwords, even called in a tech team to sweep the unit. No devices, no anomalies, no signs of tampering. But the phone kept reinstalling the app, and the alerts kept coming, and the messages, they got worse. We liked Chicago. You shouldn't have sealed the hole. You're still sleeping above us. Above. Not beside. Not near. Above. That word chilled me more than anything. I started to dream of falling. Not metaphorically. Literally. Falling into a bottomless shaft. Cold air whipping past. Scratching sounds up the walls. A voice, low and wet, saying, "We see through wood. We eat through stone. We come through cracks." I'd wake up gasping. Every time I turned on a light, I expected to see something waiting. Eventually, I began to feel it. When I'd sit on the edge of the bed, I'd feel the mattress pull down, like someone had just laid beside me. When I walked into the bathroom, the mirror would fog up, like someone had been breathing against it. But I lived alone. No roommates, no guests. I started keeping all the lights on. I bought a dog from a local rescue, just for company. But 3 days later, I came home to find her barking at the floorboards. Fur bristled, eyes wild, like she could see something under the wood. That night, she refused to enter the bedroom. The next morning, she was gone. No broken windows, no doors left open, just a trail of muddy paw prints leading to the bedroom, and then nothing. Vanished. I called animal control, called the building manager. No one had seen her. That was the beginning of the unraveling. One night, around 2:57 a.m., the ceiling creaked above me. I looked up, heart racing. Then I heard the whisper, but it came from below. "Don't look up." I froze, didn't breathe. The whisper came again, closer. "It's not above you." I stood up and ran into the hallway, down the stairs, into the street. And when I looked up at the building from outside, I saw something in my bedroom window, a silhouette, motionless, watching. I moved again the next morning. Didn't pack, didn't sleep. I left everything behind, including the phone. But that night, in a cheap hotel across the city, I found a new phone beside my bed. It was already powered on, already logged into the app, and the alert said, "Welcome home." I couldn't breathe. The phone was a new one, fresh, no scratches. It wasn't mine, and somehow it was already activated. I threw it across the room, but it didn't matter. The moment I turned my head, I felt that familiar, suffocating chill crawl into the pit of my stomach. It was still there. I tried to ignore the feeling, telling myself it was just stress, just paranoia, the kind of thing anyone might feel after everything that had happened. But deep down, I knew in every fiber of my being, that it wasn't over. It wasn't over because I'd never really escaped. The whispering, the feeling of something right behind me, the camera, that damned camera. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat on the bed, staring at the phone, daring it to move, to ping with another alert. For what? A sign that I was finally done. Or was it just the beginning? I spent hours, literally hours, searching online for answers. I dug into everything. Haunted buildings, urban legends about spirits in the walls, reports of people vanishing without a trace. The more I read, the more I learned that something like this wasn't an isolated incident. But there was no clear explanation, no haunting protocol, no pattern, no logic. Only that sense of being watched, even from miles away, and how the fear followed me through each place I went. How the app reappeared without reason. And then I stumbled upon something. It was a Reddit thread, buried in some obscure sub-forum. It had a long cryptic title, "When the camera sees you, it doesn't want you to leave." I clicked on it. It was a long post, broken into several paragraphs, and the person who wrote it never gave their name. But their story felt all too familiar. The writer described moving into an apartment with no particular history, just an ordinary, cheap place in a city they'd never been to. But it didn't take long before things started happening. Cameras that reinstalled themselves, alerts that came through at 3 a.m., strange voices, scratches in the walls, and like me, they noticed one very strange detail. The whispers started to follow them. At first, they thought it was their imagination, but then they started hearing the whispers when they were in public, in the grocery store, on the subway, while walking down the street. The message was always the same. Don't forget, you're still ours. I started to feel sick. I scrolled through more posts from the same user, and there it was again, repeated like a curse. The camera, the whispers, the feeling of being watched always. I couldn't stop reading. Every post mirrored what had happened to me, from the apartment in Chicago to the strange happenings in Seattle. The broken camera, the whispers, the sense of being followed, even when I changed locations, the shadow that watched from the corner of the room. It was all there. I slammed the phone down. I couldn't do it. I couldn't read anymore. It was too much. But then my phone buzzed. It was another alert. It came through my personal email, one I'd just set up the week before, after wiping my old one. The subject line said, "Don't move again." I opened it without thinking. It was a video. I hit play. The video started with static. Then I saw something I recognized, the figure from before, the same thin, pale form with wide eyes. It was standing in the corner of a dimly lit room. Its fingers were bent unnaturally, as if its joints had been broken and twisted. The mouth opened slowly, a stretch of dry skin. It didn't move for a long while. It just stood there, and then it smiled, wide, unhinged, like it had been waiting for something, or someone, waiting for me. I closed my eyes for a moment, willing the image away. I told myself it wasn't real. I told myself it couldn't be. I had to be imagining things. I was running on fumes, on fear, but I knew it was watching me. I couldn't take it anymore. The fear, the whispers, the endless watching. So I did the only thing I could think of. I left. I didn't care where I went as long as it was far enough. I packed a bag, left the hotel room, and jumped on the first bus out of town. No destination, just away. I didn't even tell anyone. For weeks I kept running, from city to city. Each time I thought maybe this would be the time I could finally outrun it. Maybe this time the whispers wouldn't follow. But they did. The phone didn't stop. The camera didn't stop. It never stopped. And even when I buried the phone in a trash can in the middle of nowhere, I woke up to find it on my nightstand, powered on, ready to send alerts. I can't take it anymore. The more I run, the more it follows. The whispers come in my dreams. The shadows stand in the corner of every room I enter. I don't know how much longer I have before it catches up to me. But I know one thing for sure. It never stops. The nightmares didn't stop. It wasn't just the voices now. It was something more tangible. Something that followed me into every hotel room, every tiny apartment I rented. The worst part was the silence when I tried to escape it. Silence only made me feel more vulnerable, like it was waiting for me to believe I was safe, only for it to remind me that it was still there. I found myself in a dingy motel in a small town in Oregon, deep in the mountains. It was the perfect place to disappear, or so I thought. The room smelled like damp carpets, and the bed sagged in the middle. But I didn't care. At least there was no one else around. At least I could be alone. The lights flickered when I entered, but that wasn't new. I figured it was just bad wiring. What else was there to expect from a place like this? I laid down on the bed, trying to settle my nerves. I could feel it, the weight of everything I'd been running from, pressing on my chest. It didn't matter how far I traveled, how many towns I went through. It was still there. I shut my eyes, desperate for rest, even if just for a few hours. The room seemed to grow colder. I pulled the blanket tighter around my shoulders. That's when I heard it. A soft click. It came from the corner of the room just behind the dresser. I froze. It couldn't be. I'd checked everywhere. The windows were locked. There were no cameras, no signs of tampering. But there it was again. A soft click, like the sound of something old, something long unused coming back to life. I turned toward the sound, my body tensing, waiting for something to happen. Nothing. I was about to look away to convince myself it was just the building settling when I heard it again. Only this time, it wasn't just a click. It was a slow, deliberate drag across the floor. Something or someone was moving in the corner of the room. I stared, my heart pounding in my chest. Then I saw it, a shape emerging from the shadows. The figure was humanoid but elongated. The proportions were wrong, like a person stretched to an unnatural height, their limbs bent at impossible angles. It dragged itself across the floor, its movements jerky and wrong. The shadows seemed to cling to its form, as though the darkness itself was part of it. My body locked in place. I couldn't move, couldn't scream, couldn't do anything but watch as it came closer. I wanted to run, to escape, but I couldn't. My legs wouldn't obey me. And then it spoke. It wasn't a voice, really. More like a sensation, something cold and heavy pressing against my ears, sinking into my mind. I heard words, but not with my ears. It was like the words were written into my thoughts, invading my consciousness. You left. You thought you were safe. I wanted to shout, to tell it to leave, but all I could do was stare. My body was frozen, my mind racing. It crept closer, inch by inch, its head tilting to the side, like it was studying me, savoring my fear. You can't outrun what lives inside you. I snapped back to reality, the words breaking through the haze in my mind. I bolted from the bed, stumbling toward the door. The figure didn't chase me. It didn't need to. I reached the door, my hands shaking as I fumbled with the lock. And that's when I heard it. A breath right behind me. I turned. There, in the reflection of the cracked mirror above the sink, I saw it. The figure was standing in the doorway, still as a statue. Its eyes, black, empty voids, were locked on mine. I screamed, throwing the door open and running into the hallway. My feet slapped against the cold floor as I ran down the stairwell, out the front door, into the night. I didn't look back. The parking lot was empty. The motel was silent, but I knew it wasn't gone. I didn't stop running until I hit the road. I didn't care where I was going anymore. I just needed to get away. It wasn't until hours later that I realized something even worse had happened. The phone. It wasn't in my pocket. It wasn't in my bag. I didn't have it anymore. I hadn't noticed when it had disappeared. I'm done with running. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep pretending that I have control over where I go, over what happens next. But what I do know is that I can't stay in one place for long. I can't. Because the moment I settle, it's there, again. Watching. Waiting. The whispers have grown louder, more desperate. Now it's not just me, it's after. It's my family, my friends. It wants me, yes. But it wants everything I ever loved. It wants to watch them suffer, the way it's been watching me. I received a call earlier tonight. It was a blocked number, but something in my gut told me not to answer. I shouldn't have, but I did. A voice came through the line. A voice I knew. It was my mother. But her voice, it didn't sound right. It was distorted, like someone was speaking through a filter. You can't outrun us, son. Then the line went dead. I checked the time. It was almost 3 a.m. At this point, I don't know if I'll survive this, but I have to tell someone. I have to make it stop. Whatever it is, it's not just some random haunting. It's something worse. Something that doesn't just follow you. It remembers you. It attaches itself to your very soul. You can't escape it. I can't escape it. I didn't sleep much last night. How could I, knowing what had happened? That phone call, my mother's voice, or whatever it was, it felt like my heart was being pulled out of my chest with every word she spoke. I couldn't think straight. My mind was racing. After the call, I sat in my hotel room, staring at the walls. The quiet was suffocating. I kept telling myself it was just my mind playing tricks on me. But deep down, I knew. I knew it was real. This thing, whatever it was closer now. I thought about calling the police, but then I realized that I couldn't. Who would believe me? How could I explain the things I'd seen, the way it followed me, the camera that reappeared, the whispers that never left? No one would understand. I'd sound insane. And deep down, I feared that maybe I was. But then, just as I was about to lose my mind entirely, I remembered something. That thread, the one I had found a few weeks ago on Reddit, buried in an obscure sub-forum, the one about the cameras, the whispers, the figure. I hadn't finished reading it. I was too afraid. But now I had no choice. I had to know what happened to that person. I had to know if they found a way out. I grabbed my phone, shaky hands nearly dropping it as I searched for that same post. It was buried deep, but I knew how to find it now. I scrolled through the page, reading the comments, looking for any clues, any scrap of information that could help me understand what was happening. Then, I found it. The final post from the original user, the one that had been lost in the chaos of my thoughts. It was brief, a few short lines that sent a shiver down my spine. It's here. It's in my house, in the walls. I can hear it breathing. It knows my name. It knows everything. I'm going to disappear soon. If you see this, don't run. You can't outrun it. It's inside you now. That was the last post. I felt cold. The blood drained from my face. This person, whoever they were, was gone. Vanished, just like everyone else. There was no trace of them anymore. No updates. No goodbye. Nothing. It was happening again. It was happening to me. I could feel it. The camera was watching me. The whispers were louder. The figure was coming closer. I couldn't breathe. The door to my hotel room slammed shut behind me with a force I hadn't expected. I turned around, startled, and saw the shadows move. At first I thought it was my imagination, just a trick of the light. But no, it wasn't. There, standing in the hallway, was the figure. It was back. I stumbled backward, my heart hammering in my chest, but my legs wouldn't obey. I couldn't run, not anymore. I was trapped. The figure didn't move. It just stood there, staring, its eyes like hollow pits of darkness. Its face was too thin, too gaunt, like it hadn't eaten in years. Then it spoke. The words weren't a voice. It wasn't even a sound. It was like the words were in my mind, echoing from the deepest part of my consciousness. You think you can escape? I wanted to scream. I wanted to run, but my body wouldn't move. I could feel the weight of its presence like a physical force, pushing me against the wall, trapping me in that room. The figure tilted its head, almost in curiosity. Then it smiled, a grotesque, unnatural smile that stretched too wide, like its jaw was unhinging, ready to devour me whole. You can't run. You can't hide. You belong to us now. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I felt my breath catch in my throat. My vision blurred. I couldn't think. The world around me started to fade. My mind was going blank. Then, just as quickly as it appeared, the figure was gone. I fell to my knees, gasping for air, barely able to comprehend what had just happened. I scrambled to my feet, my head spinning, and I ran to the door. I threw it open and bolted down the hallway, my feet pounding against the cold floor. I don't know how long I ran. I don't know how far I went. All I knew was that I couldn't stop. I couldn't let it catch me. But no matter how fast I ran, I knew it was following me. I've been on the run for days now. I don't even know where I am anymore. Some small town, some random motel. It doesn't matter. None of it does. The camera is gone. but the feeling is still there. I can't shake the sensation of being watched. It's in my dreams now, too. The whispers come in the dead of night, filling my mind, crawling through my thoughts like insects. And the figure. I see it in every reflection, in every shadow. It's there, always watching. It doesn't matter where I go. It doesn't matter how many miles I put between myself and that God-forsaken apartment. It's inside me now. I feel it, like a weight pressing on my chest. It's here, in my thoughts, in my soul. It's always been here. The camera, the whispers, the figure. It's not some haunted house. It's not some ghost. It's something worse. It's a presence, a thing that doesn't just haunt you. It takes you. It doesn't care where you go, what you do. It follows, it watches, and eventually, it takes you. I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know how long I have left. But I do know one thing. I can't escape it, and neither can anyone else. I woke up in the middle of the night, gasping for breath. Sweat soaked through my clothes, my body trembling with fear, yet I couldn't remember what had caused the panic. My mind was a mess, fuzzy, unclear, as if I had just woken from a nightmare that I couldn't place. But something was different this time. Something was wrong. I glanced around the room, trying to steady myself. I was in another hotel, this time a little cleaner, though not by much. The cheap yellowed curtains in the window fluttered gently, disturbed by the air conditioning unit humming in the corner. I felt trapped, that suffocating sense of something being off. And then it hit me. The room was too quiet. There was no sound, no hum of traffic outside, no rustling of wind, no distant murmurs of people talking or cars driving past. Just silence, the kind of silence that makes your ears ring. The clock on the bedside table blinked 3:02 a.m. in the dark. I didn't have a phone anymore, not since I'd left that motel, and yet I could feel it, that same presence that had been stalking me for weeks. It was still here. I wasn't alone. The air felt thick, heavier than it should have. My skin prickled. I could feel the cold seep into my bones, as though the room itself was being drained of warmth. I didn't need to look over my shoulder to know what was behind me. I could feel it. The shadows moved. I tried to tell myself it was just the bad lighting, that it was nothing more than a trick of the eyes. But deep down, I knew it was coming for me again. I jumped out of bed, frantic. I turned toward the door, but something stopped me. There, in the corner of the room, just beside the window, stood the figure. But this time, it wasn't standing still. It was moving, slow, deliberate. Its limbs twisted unnaturally, stretching out like something that wasn't quite human. It was long, lanky, with dark, hollow eyes that didn't blink. Its face, if you could call it that, was a sickly pale color, with jagged lines running down its cheeks as though it had been carved into shape by some malicious force. Its mouth opened, and for a moment I could have sworn I saw something inside, something writhing, moving, like it was alive. You can't escape this. It's always been here. The voice came from inside my mind again, and I felt it like a weight pressing down on my skull, filling me with a crushing, suffocating sense of dread. I backed away, my feet sliding on the floor. My breath came out in short, panicked gasps as I stumbled toward the door, my hand shaking as I grabbed for the knob. But it wouldn't open. It was locked, and I knew that no matter how hard I pulled, no matter how hard I screamed, it wouldn't open. I turned back toward the figure. It was closer now, closer than before. Its limbs extended toward me with an unnatural, jerky motion. Each step it took, the shadows around it seemed to grow deeper, like it was pulling the very darkness out of the walls. It wasn't just a thing. It was a part of the place. It was in the walls, in the very foundation of everything I had ever known. "You've always been ours." The voice echoed in my head. It was the same words, but now they felt different. There was no fear in them, only inevitability, a twisted certainty that this was how it was always meant to be. I couldn't scream, I couldn't move. The paralysis took hold of me like it had all those other times. I could only stare as the figure reached toward me. But then, just as quickly as it had appeared, it stopped. It was still, frozen in place, like it was waiting for something. I didn't dare to move. My eyes were wide, my heart pounding in my chest as I fought to understand what was happening. It felt like time had stopped. The room was suffocatingly still. Then from the corner of my eye, I saw something else. A shadow, much smaller, creeping along the floor toward me. It was the shape of a person, but wrong. It crawled on all fours, its head twisted backward at an impossible angle. Its fingers scraped across the floor like claws, dragging itself closer. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. The figure spoke again, this time louder. "It's not just us, you see. It's them, too, and they're always watching." And that's when it hit me. The whispers, the cameras, the feeling of being watched. It wasn't just one thing. It was an entire network, an infestation, an infection. It wasn't just me, it was anyone who came into contact with it. Everyone. The walls, the mirrors, the cameras. They were all connected, all feeding into something far worse than I had ever imagined. It wasn't just ghosts or demons. It was an entity. No, an infection that grew stronger the more people it touched, the more people it consumed. I had been the perfect vessel, the perfect victim, and now it was too late to stop it. I tried to run again, but my legs wouldn't cooperate. I could feel something crawling inside my head, inside my chest, as though it was trying to take over every part of me. It was everywhere, inside my thoughts, inside my soul. I knew what had to happen now. I couldn't escape it. I couldn't fight it. I was part of it now. I don't know how much time has passed since the figure stopped moving, but it felt like an eternity. I stood there, frozen, trapped inside my own mind, feeling it unravel with every passing second. The room around me was a blur, the air thick and suffocating, as though something was pressing in from all sides. It was no longer just the presence of the figure. It was the reality of it, whatever this thing was, seeping into everything. I could feel the walls pressing in. I could feel the shadows crawling up, closing in, surrounding me. And then I realized something that made my blood run cold. The figure wasn't the only one here. It wasn't just the thing that had been haunting me all this time. No, there were others, many others, hundreds of them, maybe even more. I saw them flickering at the edges of my vision, shapes, shadows, half-formed figures moving, lingering just outside the reach of the light. They were all connected, like a web, a twisted, ever-growing web of darkness that had been silently spreading through every room, every corner, every part of this place. The walls didn't just have eyes, they had souls. They were all waiting for me to join them, to become part of the network. I collapsed to the ground, my back hitting the cold, hard floor, my breath ragged and shallow as I tried to make sense of the horror unfolding around me. But there was no sense to be made. Not anymore. The logic of the world was slipping away. Everything that I had once known, everything I had once believed in, was being shattered. The figure leaned forward again, its face twisting into that sickening smile, its eyes piercing through me like daggers. I could feel its presence like a weight on my chest, pressing down, suffocating me, until I could barely breathe. "We've been waiting for you," it whispered, its voice like a cold wind brushing against my skin. This is where you belong. This is where we all belong. I wanted to scream, to fight back, but there was nothing left in me. Nothing but an overwhelming sense of dread. My vision blurred, and my thoughts became fragmented, like pieces of a puzzle that no longer fit together. I tried to think of escape, of running, but deep down, I knew it was futile. I had been running for so long, but it had always been right behind me. It had always been inside me, hiding just beneath the surface. It wasn't something that could be outrun or outsmarted. It was something that infected you, something that became you. The figure stepped closer, its twisted limbs jerking at odd angles as it crawled toward me. Its eyes glinted with an unnatural, malevolent gleam, and its smile only widened as it reached out with a cold, long finger. "Don't fight it," it whispered, the words slithering into my mind, wrapping around my thoughts. "You can't fight what's already inside you." And then I felt it, the pull. It was like a gravitational force, a powerful tug deep inside my chest, pulling at my very soul. I couldn't resist. I couldn't fight it. It was as if the thing was inside me, crawling through my veins, taking control of every thought, every movement. It was pulling me toward it, toward the darkness, toward the void that was waiting to consume me. I was no longer myself. I wasn't a person anymore. I was part of it, part of the thing that had infected me, that had taken root in my mind. The whispers were all around me, filling my ears, making it impossible to think, impossible to understand what was real anymore. And then, just as my consciousness began to slip away, the figure spoke again, its voice full of cruel satisfaction. "You're one of us now." The words echoed in my mind, louder than anything I had ever heard. The last remnants of my sanity crumbled as I felt my body go limp. I was no longer fighting, no longer running. I had given in. I wasn't sure what happened next. Was it a dream, a vision, or was it real? All I know is that I felt something pulling me into the abyss. It was like falling through an endless tunnel, surrounded by whispers, screams, and shadows. I could feel the presence of countless others, trapped in the same nightmare, bound by the same curse. They were all around me. I couldn't see them, but I could feel them. I was one of them now. But then, something changed. The whispers began to shift. They weren't just murmuring anymore. They were chanting, a low, rhythmic sound that resonated through every fiber of my being. The walls around me began to distort, rippling like water, folding in on themselves, as though the very fabric of reality was being torn apart. And then I heard it. The voice. "You are no longer just a part of the web. You are the web." The world around me shattered. The world around me shattered into pieces. What was once a room, what was once reality, began to warp and distort, collapsing into an endless void. The shadows thickened, stretching out into the infinite, swallowing up everything in their path. I couldn't see anymore. It was all just darkness. Darkness that moved, that breathed, that lived. The air was heavy with a palpable sense of dread, a choking, oppressive force that squeezed my chest, making it impossible to breathe. I wanted to scream, to cry out for help, but there was nothing. No sound, no air, just the suffocating silence. Then I felt it, a cold, slimy hand brushing against my shoulder. I turned, but I couldn't see anything. There were no eyes to look into, no face to stare back at me. Just the feeling of being surrounded, of being watched by something that wasn't human. "Welcome to the web," a voice whispered, low and rasping, as if it was coming from inside my very bones. I wanted to collapse, to give in completely, but something inside me, a spark of resistance, fought back. Maybe it was the last remnants of my humanity, or maybe it was just sheer desperation, but I refused to let it swallow me whole. I tried to push forward, to find something, anything that would give me a way out. But the more I moved, the tighter the darkness pressed around me. It was suffocating. My lungs burned as I gasped for air that wasn't there. And then I saw it, a flicker in the distance, a faint light, like the glow of a dying star in the vast emptiness. It wasn't much, but it was enough to make my heart skip a beat. I ran toward it, driven by the desperate hope that it was a way out, a chance to escape this nightmare. But as I got closer, the light grew dimmer. The shadows closed in around it, devouring it like they had devoured everything else. It was a trap, a trick. I could feel the coldness seep into my bones, dragging me back. The voices in the darkness grew louder, like a chorus of whispers, all speaking at once, telling me things I couldn't understand. But one thing was clear. It was too late. I had already crossed the point of no return. "You are ours now," the voice echoed 1,000 times over, until it became a deafening roar inside my mind. There's no escape. And then I understood. The figure, the shadows, the crawling things. They weren't just haunting me. They were inside me. They had been since the beginning. This wasn't a place or a time, or even a state of being. This was the web, the entity. It was a part of everything. It had always been part of me. I wanted to fight it, to resist. But the more I struggled, the more it consumed me. I could feel it taking over, seeping into my thoughts, into my memories, turning them into nothing more than fragments of a forgotten dream. And that's when I saw the faces. Faces of people I had never met, people who had vanished, people who had died. Their eyes were empty, hollow, just like mine. They were trapped in the same web, the same cycle, and they stared at me with a mixture of pity and recognition. They knew what was coming. They knew what was inevitable. "Join us," they whispered, their voices like 1,000 insects crawling under my skin. "You're already one of us. You always have been." I wanted to scream, to fight back, but the darkness was too strong. It had already taken hold of me. My body was no longer my own. I could feel myself slipping away, becoming just another part of the void, another thread in the ever-expanding web. And then, just as I thought I had lost myself completely, I heard the voice again, the figure's voice. But this time, it wasn't in my mind. It was real. It was right in front of me. "You've always belonged to me," it said, its voice a twisted mixture of satisfaction and malice. "You can't escape. No one can." I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. My mind was collapsing in on itself, breaking apart under the weight of what had been revealed. There was no escape. There was no hope. I was part of it now. The shadows closed in around me, suffocating me, pulling me into the depths of the void. And as I was swallowed whole, I knew one thing for sure. It would never stop. It would never let go. It's hard to describe what happened next. It's hard to put into words the feeling of completely losing yourself, like watching your own soul being torn apart while you're still alive. Every thought, every memory, everything I once was, unraveled like a thread being pulled from the fabric of my very being. I didn't even know if I still had a body. I didn't know if I was still breathing. But I knew one thing with every ounce of what was left of me. I was no longer in control. The web, the shadows, the suffocating darkness, they had taken everything. There was no escape. I kept hearing the whispers. They were everywhere, inside my head, outside it. They were part of the air I breathed, the ground I walked on, the space that used to be a reality. They were endless. But within those whispers, one thing stood out. A phrase repeated over and over again. "It's always been you." And then it hit me. I wasn't just some random person that the web had found. No, I was chosen. I had always been part of this. The whispers didn't just haunt me. They had been there from the beginning, following me, waiting for the right moment to make their move. It wasn't just a matter of coincidence that I had ended up in that hostel, that apartment, that room. It had always been planned. You were always meant to be here, the voice said again, its chilling words like ice in my veins. And I understood. I understood because the truth was clear now, and there was no denying it. The web wasn't something outside of me. It was inside me. The darkness wasn't just something that had haunted me. It was me. It had always been inside, growing, feeding on my fears, on my doubts. The entity, the shadows, the whispers, they had been with me for my whole life, hidden in the darkest corners of my mind, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. I had been chosen long before I ever set foot in that hostel, long before I even understood what was happening. There was no running, no hiding. The only choice I had was to accept it. But the thing was, I didn't want to accept it. I didn't want to surrender to the web, to become just another face in the endless, shifting darkness. The more I fought, the more it felt like my mind was being swallowed by the void. The more I screamed, the more the walls around me closed in. But in the end, there was no escape. There was only the web. And then, everything went silent. For a moment I thought maybe it was over. Maybe the darkness had finally taken me. But then something even worse happened. I felt myself being pulled again, but this time it wasn't the same. It wasn't the suffocating grip of the shadows, the cold fingers of the web tightening around me. No, this time, it was something different. I was being watched. I opened my eyes, or I think I did, though I couldn't be sure if I still had eyes. But I felt something watching me, the pressure, the gaze, the overwhelming sense that I wasn't alone. It was suffocating. I was still in the void, but now there was something else in it, a presence, and it was getting closer. I tried to move, but I couldn't. It was as if my body was no longer my own. I couldn't scream. I couldn't speak. I could only wait. And the thing that was approaching, whatever it was, seemed to move with purpose. I felt it getting closer. I felt its coldness. It wasn't a physical cold, but something worse. It was like a chill that sank deep into my bones, freezing my very essence. It felt like it was erasing me, like it was devouring every last part of me, until there was nothing left. And then the presence spoke, not with words, but with something far worse. It entered my mind, filling every thought, every part of my consciousness with a single, terrifying truth. You're not just part of the web. I couldn't comprehend it at first, but as the message settled in, as I felt the weight of it pressing down on me, it became clear. I wasn't just a victim of the web. I wasn't just some person who had been caught up in its dark influence. I was the web, the entity, the darkness, the void. It wasn't something that I could escape from. It wasn't something that had consumed me. It was me. It had always been inside me. I had been its creation, its foundation, its purpose all along. The last shred of my humanity, the last flicker of resistance that I had been holding on to, was fading. The web had consumed everything. It had consumed me. And that was when I understood the true horror. The web was eternal. It didn't need to find new victims. It just needed to feed. And once it had fed enough, it didn't need anyone. It didn't need anyone to belong to it. It was the web itself. And now, it was my turn to become it. I could feel the change happening. The last remnants of my body, my soul, being consumed and reborn into something else, something far worse, something that could never be human again. And as the final part of me faded into the dark, I realized that it wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The web was eternal. It would always keep growing. And I would be there, watching, waiting, to pull in the next soul. I don't know how long it's been since that moment. Time no longer has any meaning here. It feels like seconds, but also like an eternity. The web, it's still here, still inside me, twisting around my mind, making me a part of it. A permanent fixture in a nightmare that doesn't end. A cycle that repeats itself, over and over. I have no body, no form, but I still exist. Somewhere in the dark, I feel the presence of others. I can hear them now. They are just like I was, lost, trapped, struggling to hold on to something, anything that feels real. But none of them understand what's really happening. They don't understand that they've already been swallowed whole. It's strange. At first I thought I was alone, but then I began to notice the others, the ones that came before me, the ones who thought they could escape. They thought they could outrun the web, but they were wrong. They're here now, too. Their faces are so familiar. I see them everywhere, like fragments of forgotten memories. People I once knew, people I never met, people who were all just as doomed as I was. I know what they're feeling. They're confused. They're terrified. They want to scream, to run. But there's nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. It's the same for all of us. Once you're part of the web, you're part of it forever. There's no escape. And yet there are still moments, flickers, really, where I almost feel like I can break free, where I almost feel like I can reach out and pull myself away from this abyss. But every time I try, the darkness tightens its grip. It pulls me back in, wrapping itself around me like a suffocating shroud. I'm drowning in it. But I can't breathe. I can't move. I'm stuck here. And the others, they're still reaching, still trying to break free. Some of them scream, begging for release, but their cries are swallowed up, devoured by the void, just like mine were. There's a shift in the air. I feel it. Something new is coming, something darker than the web itself. It's like a presence, a force that's pushing through the shadows, pushing through the very fabric of reality itself. I don't know what it is, but it's powerful. Far more powerful than anything I've ever felt before. I try to reach out, to understand it, to see what it wants. But the more I try to focus on it, the more I feel myself slipping. It's almost as if the very act of thinking about it is pulling me further away from the few scraps of myself that remain. It's getting harder to hold on, and then I hear it. The voice that had tormented me from the very beginning. It's coming closer. It's speaking to me again, but this time, it's not in my head. This time, it's right next to me. I can feel it in my bones, in my skin, in my very soul. You're not the first. The voice is cold, empty, but there's something else there, something darker. I don't want to listen. I don't want to hear it. But I can't stop myself. It's like the web is forcing me to. You're not the first to fall into this. I don't want to hear anymore. But the voice keeps speaking. It's not even speaking anymore. It's just flooding my mind. My thoughts are no longer mine. The web is taking over, filling me with images, faces, people. I see them all now. Every person that has ever been caught in the web, every soul that has ever been consumed, and they're all looking at me. Their eyes are empty, hollow. They don't blink. They don't move. They just stare. And then I realize something. The faces I see, they're not just people who've been lost. They're me. They're my reflection, twisted and distorted, caught in the web just like I am. They're fragments of myself, versions of who I was before the darkness took over. But now, they're nothing but shadows, faces I can no longer recognize. And then the voice speaks again. You're not the first, but you will be the last. It's a promise, A cold, empty promise. But it chills me to the bone. I don't understand what it means. I don't understand how this could be the last. But I know deep down that it's true. I am no longer just another victim. I am part of something much larger, something that will continue to grow, to spread, until it consumes everything. It was never just about me. It was about all of us. I can feel it now. The others, those who came before, those who still struggle, still try to break free. But the more I feel them, the more I realize they are just like me. They are me. I am the web. I have always been the web. And when I finally understand this, when I finally accept it, the others, those faces, those lost souls, smile. Their smiles aren't real. They aren't kind, but they are knowing. They've all been where I am. They've all gone through this. And now they wait for me to join them. I try to scream. I try to run, but I can't. There is no running anymore. I can feel the change happening. It's happening slowly, like an inevitable force pressing in on me from all sides. The thing I feared most is no longer a distant possibility. It is right here, with me, woven into the very fabric of my existence. The web. It has consumed me completely now. But it's not just the darkness, the shadows, or the whispers. It's something far worse. It's as though I've become the very thing I feared, the very thing that haunted me from the start. The others, the ones that had been trapped before me, are still here. But now, they are different. Their faces, their expressions, are no longer just twisted reflections. They are reflections of my own mind, my own fears, my own doubts. They are me, and I am them. We have become one in this suffocating darkness. There is no distinction anymore, no separation. I hear their voices now, not just in whispers, but in the very depths of my soul. They speak of things that I can no longer comprehend. They speak of the web's endless reach, its eternal hunger. It never ends, one of them says. It's always been here. Another echoes, you can't escape it. A third whispers, but their voice trails off as if they know the truth of it. They are not wrong. I know that now. The web does not just consume. It doesn't just feed on fear. It doesn't just haunt or torment. It erases. It devours the very essence of who you are. You lose yourself, and in the end, you become it. I feel the truth of it in every fiber of my being. I am becoming a part of the web. The final descent, the one I've feared all this time, is happening now. And I know deep down that I can't stop it. I have become an extension of the web. My thoughts are no longer my own. My body, my identity, my memories, everything has been taken, consumed, and replaced. There is no return from this, and that's the hardest part. It's not the loss of control, or the darkness, or the suffocating pressure. It's the realization that there is no escape, that everything I thought I knew, everything I thought I was, is gone. I am not a victim anymore. I am the web. I can see it now, clearer than I ever have before. The web is not just a collection of shadows or whispers. It's not some outside force or entity trying to invade. It's a part of everything. It's inside me, inside everyone. It feeds on our fears, our weaknesses, our doubts. It grows with every soul it consumes, and it will never stop. I try to fight. I try to scream out, but it's futile. The more I struggle, the more it envelops me. My mind shatters under the pressure, and I lose the ability to tell where I end and the web begins. We are one now. The web isn't a place. It isn't just a network of fear. It is a force. It is everywhere. It exists in the darkest corners of your mind, in the spaces between moments, in the quiet hum of the world you thought you understood. And now, as I begin to lose myself entirely, I can see that it's not over. It never will be. There is no end to the web, no escape. I am the web. I always was. But there are others, new souls, new victims, and as I feel myself slipping away, I know the truth. They are next. They will be drawn in, just like I was. The cycle will continue, and maybe, just maybe, I'll find them. Maybe I'll be there, lurking in the dark, waiting to pull them in, just like the web pulled me. The darkness pulls tighter. I no longer fight it. I embrace it, and then everything goes black. I am no longer sure if I even exist. I can still feel the remnants of my consciousness, a flickering ember, but it's fading. The web has wrapped around me so completely that it has swallowed any trace of who I was. My memories are slipping through my fingers like sand in the wind. There's no holding on to them anymore. There's no holding on to anything. It's like I'm floating in a vast, endless abyss. It's as if the space around me has distorted, bending in on itself until there's nothing left but this void. There's no light, no sound, no sense of time, just silence. But it's not the peaceful kind of silence. It's the kind of silence that screams at you, that echoes so loudly inside your head that you can't hear your own thoughts. The silence of oblivion. It is the sound of being erased from existence. I don't know how long I've been here. There's no way to measure it. The web doesn't allow for time. Time is just another concept that has been drained from me, like everything else. The feeling of weightlessness is overwhelming. I can't tell if I'm even moving, if I have a body anymore. I can't feel anything but the presence of the web. It's still inside me, still twisting, still feeding off whatever little remnants of me still remain. And somehow, I can't stop it. I try to scream again. I try to reach out for something, anything that can remind me of who I once was. But all I feel is the cold, suffocating embrace of the web closing in on me. I don't know how I got here. I don't know how long I've been here. But I know one thing with an awful certainty now. I am not alone. I can feel it. The presence of others. The ones who were lost before me. The ones who were trapped long ago. They're here with me now, in this darkness, in this void. I can feel them reaching out, touching me, pulling at the fragments of my mind. At first I thought I was alone in this place, but now I know the truth. There are others here, so many others. They were consumed by the web, just like me. Some of them are still fighting. Some of them are still screaming, still trying to claw their way out. But I can feel the hopelessness in their struggles. I know now that it's futile. And then I hear it again, the voice. That same voice that's been with me since the beginning. The one that spoke to me when I first realized I was trapped. The one that told me there was no escape. It's too late for you now. The voice is different this time. It's no longer cold and emotionless. There's something almost familiar about it now. It feels like a part of me. I try to ignore it, try to block it out, but I can't. It's too strong, too powerful. It's like the web is speaking to me through that voice, guiding me deeper into the darkness. You will never leave. No one does. The voice is wrong. I know it is. But even as I tell myself that, I feel a part of me starting to believe it. I feel myself surrendering, slowly, reluctantly. I've been trapped for so long, and no matter how hard I fought, nothing changed. The web always won. I can feel the others now. No longer just faint whispers or distant presences. They are closer, much closer. I hear them whispering to me, calling my name, calling to me in the language of the lost. They want me to join them, to give in fully, to become one with them. But I know what that means. If I give in, if I stop fighting, I will lose the last part of myself. I will disappear completely, and then I will become just another lost soul, wandering the endless dark, just like all the others. You're already gone, the voice tells me, so calmly, so matter-of-factly. You just don't realize it yet. I want to scream. I want to tell the voice to shut up, to stop twisting my mind, but I can't. The words won't come. I'm not sure if I even have a voice anymore. Maybe I never did. Maybe it was always just a dream, a horrible, endless nightmare that has now swallowed me whole. I try to hold on to something, anything, a memory, a thought, a piece of myself. But it's slipping away, faster and faster. My fingers can't grasp onto it. It's like trying to hold water in my hands. And then, as the last fragments of myself begin to fade, I hear something different. A sound, a whisper that doesn't belong. It's not the voice of the web. It's not the voices of the others. It's something foreign, something strange. I can't understand it at first. But as it gets closer, as it grows louder, I realize what it is. It's a name, my name. Something is calling me. But it's not from the void. It's coming from somewhere else, somewhere far away. I don't know what it means. I don't know if it's real, but I can't ignore it. I can't resist it. The name, it pulls me. It tugs at whatever is left of me. It promises something I thought I'd lost forever. Wake up, it whispers. And just for a moment, I feel it. A flicker, a spark, a breath of life. But then, nothing. It's the strangest thing. One moment I'm consumed by darkness, by the web, and the next, there's a shift. A subtle one, but it's enough to make me pause, to make me question everything I've been through. That whisper, that name, it lingers in the back of my mind, like a tether trying to pull me out from the suffocating abyss. For the briefest moment, I think I feel something outside of the web, something that's trying to reach me. At first, I wonder if it's a trick. Maybe the web is playing with me again, pulling me deeper into its grasp. But no, this feels different. It feels real. Wake up. The voice repeats itself, and this time I know it's not the web. It's not the twisted, cold whispers of those trapped before me. It's something else entirely. I don't know how, but I can feel the slightest spark of recognition, like a long-forgotten memory returning to me, something buried deep inside. The name it called. I know it. I don't understand why, but I reach out for it. I stretch, grasping at the remnants of my identity. Wake up. And then, I'm pulled. At first, it's a sharp jolt, like the sudden tug of gravity. I feel the web's hold on me start to loosen. I don't know how it's happening, but it's happening. For a moment, I am weightless, but that feeling is fleeting. The pull grows stronger, and the web resists. I can feel it tightening around me, constricting with its sinister force. It's not done with me yet. It's not ready to let go. I fight back, struggling with everything I have left. My body, what's left of it, fights against the pressure, against the pull of the web. I can feel it draining my strength, but I can't give up. I can't let it win. The name, it's there again, like a lifeline, pulling me toward something. I reach for it, my mind clawing toward it with desperate urgency. I don't know what's on the other side of this, but I have to know. I have to break free. The web is everywhere now. It surrounds me, presses in from every angle. I can feel its tendrils in my mind, in my soul. It's trying to suffocate me, to erase whatever resistance I have left. But I won't let it. I won't give in. Wake up. The voice is clearer now, stronger. I can feel it urging me, calling me from the depths of the darkness. It's not the web anymore. It's something, someone. And then, like a burst of light in the pitch-black void, I break free. The web shatters around me. For the first time in what feels like an eternity, I can breathe. I can feel the air around me. It's real. It's not the suffocating pressure of the web. It's something else entirely. I blink, disoriented, trying to make sense of what's happening. It's hard to focus. Everything is blurry. But I can feel the shift. I can feel the web's grip loosening as I tear myself free. I don't know how. I don't know why. But I know that I've fought my way out. I gasp, my chest heaving with the first real breath of air in what feels like forever. My body, my mind, feels like it's being reassembled, like pieces of a broken puzzle coming back together. I don't understand it, but I feel it. I am here, again. I am awake, but I'm not out of danger yet. The web, though weakened, is still there, still trying to pull me back in. I can feel it lingering, just beyond my reach, like an invisible force waiting for me to slip. I can't let that happen. I can't let it take me again. I focus, my mind racing. I don't know where I am, or how I got here, but I know one thing with certainty. I'm in control now. I fight against the lingering tendrils of the web, pushing them away with whatever strength I have left. I feel it resisting, but I won't let it win. I won't let it take me back into the void. And then, as if the world itself is responding to my will, the darkness begins to fade. The whispers, the shadows, the suffocating pressure, all of it starts to dissolve, melting away like mist in the sunlight. For the first time in what feels like forever, I can see clearly. I am no longer trapped. I am no longer lost. But there's something else. Something I can't explain. I'm standing in a new place now. One that feels so different from the void. It's not the apartment where I started. Not the place where the web first took hold. It's something else. A new world, maybe. Or maybe it's just my mind trying to rebuild itself after everything that happened. The air here is thick. It's heavy with something I can't quite place. The walls seem to pulse, as though they are alive. And the floors, there's something off about them, something unsettling. I take a few hesitant steps forward. The ground beneath my feet feels solid, but it also feels wrong. Like I shouldn't be here. Like I'm standing on something I shouldn't touch. And then I hear it, the faintest whisper. It's barely audible, but it's there, just like before. You can't escape. The voice, the same voice. It's not the web's voice, not the others' voices. This one is something else. I freeze. You can't escape. It repeats, growing louder, more distinct. I turn, panic flooding my chest. And then, for the first time since I woke up, I see it. A shadow. It's standing at the far end of the room, just outside the reach of the dim light. Its form is indistinct, but I can feel its presence cold and suffocating. You can't escape, the voice repeats, but now it feels like it's coming from all around me. The shadow, however, remains still, like a dark sentinel waiting. Its shape is unclear, constantly shifting and changing, as if it's not fully part of the world around me. I can't focus on it, can't grasp its true form. It's as though it's not meant to be seen at all. I step back, trying to keep some distance between myself and whatever this thing is. But there's nowhere to go. The room, or whatever this place is, feels endless, stretching out in every direction like an inescapable maze. I could run, but where? Every direction feels wrong. The walls pulse again. The air grows heavier. The whispering intensifies. You can't escape. I spin around, frantic now. My eyes scan the room, trying to find something, anything that might help me. A way out, a door, a window, anything. But there's nothing. Just walls and shadows. There's no escape. I force myself to breathe. I can't panic. I've been through worse. But no, I haven't. Nothing like this, the web. The nightmare I thought I'd escaped. It's here again, somehow. Not just as the web itself, but as this thing. This presence that wants to consume me. The whispering continues, swirling around me like an invisible storm. My heart pounds in my chest, and I fight the rising wave of terror. It's too real. The fear, the suffocation, the dread. It all feels so familiar, so much like the feeling I had when I was trapped in that horrible void. I look back at the shadow. It hasn't moved, but its presence is growing stronger. I can feel its gaze on me, even though I can't see its eyes, can't even make out its features clearly. But I know it's there, watching me, waiting for me. You can't escape. I stagger backward, my mind racing. I need to think. I need to find a way out. There has to be a way out. I can't be stuck here, not again. And then a horrible realization creeps into my mind. What if this is all there is? What if there is no escape? The thought chills me to the bone. Number, I refuse to accept it. I won't be trapped in some never-ending nightmare again. I won't let this shadow, this presence, control me. I have to fight. I have to find a way. The shadow shifts again, slowly, deliberately. It moves closer, its form growing more solid, more defined, until I can make out some vague outline. It's tall, too tall. The air around it seems to warp and bend, as though it's distorting everything it touches. I don't know what it wants, but I'm certain of one thing. It doesn't want me to leave. And whatever this thing is, whatever it represents, it's a part of the web. It has to be. And then, as if the darkness itself is bending to its will, the shadow speaks again. You will never leave. The words are sharp, final, like a sentence being handed down. The way it speaks with that awful certainty makes my blood run cold. I try to move, but my legs feel heavy, like they're made of lead. The room seems to close in around me, the walls pressing inward as if to trap me further. It's happening again, the same feeling, the same suffocating pull of the web. I can't escape. I force myself to focus. I won't give in. I won't let it take me again. I have to do something. With a desperate scream, I charge forward, towards the shadow. My body moves on its own, as though it's reacting to the overwhelming terror. My arms reach out, my fingers trying to claw through the air, through the space around me, looking for something to hold on to. But the shadow doesn't retreat. Instead, it grows larger, its form engulfing everything. You will never leave. The voice is now a growl, deep and guttural. It reverberates through the room, making my very bones tremble. I fall to my knees, gasping for air, my hands gripping the floor as if it might offer me some salvation. But there's nothing. There's no salvation here, only the shadow. I'm losing. I can feel it now. The pull, the weight of the web, the slow, crushing sensation that comes when you realize you've been caught, when there's no escape. But just as I feel the darkness begin to swallow me whole, the name calls to me again. My name. I don't know why, but it's like a light in the dark, a thread that somehow reaches through the endless blackness. Wake up. It's a faint whisper, but this time it's different. This time, it's not the web. It's not the shadow. It's not the endless abyss. It's something else. Someone else. Wake up. I scream, louder this time, louder than I ever have before. My voice cracks, but I keep shouting, keep reaching for the name, for whatever is calling me from beyond the shadow. I fight back, with everything I have, because this is my last chance. I can't give in now. And then the shadow's grip falters. I feel it, just for a moment. It's slipping. The web, the shadow, the suffocating pull. They're all losing their strength. I'm breaking through. With a final, desperate effort, I push. I fight. I wake up. The darkness fades, but it's not gone completely. It lingers at the edges, like a bad dream that refuses to dissipate. I can still feel the shadow, still hear its voice in the back of my mind, echoing and whispering, pulling at the corners of my consciousness. But something has changed. I'm not in the room with the shadow anymore. I'm no longer surrounded by its suffocating presence, its grip on my soul slowly tearing me apart. Instead, I'm somewhere else, somewhere real. I blink rapidly, my eyes adjusting to the sudden change in environment. The air is thick, heavy, and familiar. The faint hum of the city outside filters through, the sounds of cars and people in the distance. For the first time in what feels like forever, I know where I am. I'm back in my apartment, the one I rented after leaving the hostel, the one that felt like safety, but that wasn't real. None of it was. The web, the shadow, the suffocating terror. It was all just another layer, another level of the nightmare. And yet, despite this sense of familiarity, I can't shake the feeling that I'm still not entirely free. The walls of the apartment are the same. The furniture, the clutter, everything's where it should be. It looks real. It feels real. But I know better now. I take a step back, my heart racing, every instinct telling me to turn around, to leave, to run. But I can't. Not yet. You can't escape. The voice is back, only this time it's quieter, more insidious. It feels like it's coming from within me, like my own thoughts are being distorted, twisted by the web. It's in my head now, no longer confined to the shadows of the room. I try to block it out, but the words are stuck in my mind, like a broken record, repeating over and over again. You can't escape. I stumble forward, my legs unsteady beneath me. The apartment feels smaller now, more claustrophobic, as though the walls themselves are closing in. My breath comes in short, shallow gasps as the panic starts to return. I'm not safe. Not here. Not anywhere. I run to the window, hoping that seeing the world outside will ground me, bring me back to reality. But when I pull back the curtains, I freeze. The cityscape outside is wrong. The streets are eerily empty. No cars, no people. Just the pale, sickly glow of streetlights casting long, twisted shadows. There's no movement. Nothing at all. Just an unnatural stillness that sends a chill through my spine. It's not right. It can't be. I press my face against the glass, trying to see past the empty streets, searching for anything that might make sense. But there's nothing. Just endless rows of lifeless buildings, stretching into the horizon. The world outside feels fake, like it's been carefully constructed, just enough to look like the city I know, but just off enough to unsettle me. I back away from the window, my pulse pounding in my ears. This can't be real. None of it can be. You can't escape. The voice again, louder now. The whispering is everywhere, coming from the very walls, from the floor beneath my feet, from the air itself. It's closing in on me, tightening its grip, and I feel it. The cold, invisible fingers of the web reaching out to pull me back in. I try to scream, but no sound comes out. I try to move, but my legs won't cooperate. I'm paralyzed, caught in this nightmare that feels so much like reality, but so terribly wrong at the same time. And then I see it. The shadow. It's standing in the corner of the room, just out of reach. Its form darker than any shadow should be. It's no longer just a vague silhouette, but something more defined, something more real. I can see its outline now, its long, twisted limbs, its fatuous face, the way it seems to twist and distort with every passing second. It's real. It's here. You can't escape. The voice is no longer a whisper. It's a scream, a deafening, bone-chilling roar that fills my head, my chest. my very soul. I fall to my knees, my hands clutching my head in an attempt to block out the noise, the presence, the terrible weight of it all. I can't take it anymore. And then, in a moment of pure terror, I understand. I'm not free, not at all. The web was never just an illusion. It wasn't some trick of the mind, some twisted game. It was real. It's real. And no matter how far I run, no matter how hard I fight, I will never escape it. I can feel the shadow now, its cold tendrils wrapping around me, pulling me toward it, pulling me back into the web. The grip is stronger than before, stronger than anything I've ever felt. I can't fight it anymore. You can't escape. I try to scream again, but it's pointless. The words don't matter. Nothing matters anymore. The shadow consumes me, its form melding with mine, its essence invading every part of my being. And then, just as quickly as it began, everything goes silent. The room is gone. The shadow is gone. The voice is gone. I'm alone. But I know better now. I'm not truly alone. I'm still trapped. Trapped in a web that will never let me go. Because once you're inside, you're always inside. I wake up. At least I think I do. But everything feels wrong. I'm not sure if I'm awake or still lost somewhere in that endless nightmare. My eyes open to what looks like my apartment again, but it's different. The furniture is in the wrong places. The walls are cracked, the paint peeling off like it's been here for decades. The floor beneath me feels cold, like it hasn't been walked on in years. I should be relieved. I should feel the comfort of being back in the real world. But I don't. I feel nothing but dread. I try to sit up, but my body feels sluggish, like it's been drained of all its energy. I feel as though I've been asleep for days, weeks, maybe even longer. There's a heaviness in my chest, as if I'm carrying some weight that I can't shed. The room is eerily quiet. The silence is suffocating, but it's not the peaceful kind of quiet. It's the kind of quiet that feels unnatural. The kind of quiet that comes right before something terrible happens. And then I hear it again. That voice. You can't escape. It's faint at first, like a whisper in the back of my mind. But it grows louder, more insistent. I clutch my head, trying to drown it out, trying to push it away, but it's too powerful. It's like the voice is inside my skull, echoing in every part of me. I stand up, my legs shaking beneath me, barely able to support my weight. I need to leave. I need to get out of here before the web catches me again. I don't know where I'll go, but I know I can't stay here, not with this feeling of inevitability hanging over me. I stumble toward the door, but my hand freezes just before I reach the knob. The voice grows louder, more aggressive. The walls start to hum, a low, vibrating sound that makes my skin crawl. The floor beneath me shifts, like the room is alive and breathing. I can hear it now, the unmistakable sound of something moving, something lurking just beyond my vision. And then I see it, the shadow. It's not in the corner this time. It's standing right in front of me, blocking the door, its form larger and darker than before. Its edges flicker like fire, shifting and contorting, as if it's not solid, but rather a manifestation of something beyond this world. I want to scream, I want to run, but my body won't move. My feet feel glued to the floor, as though the room itself is holding me in place. You will never leave. It speaks again, but this time, it's not a whisper. It's a roar, a guttural booming sound that shakes the very air around me. My ears ring from the force of it, and I feel my chest tighten with terror. This thing, it's not just a shadow. It's something much worse. I try to force myself to take a step back, but my legs don't obey. The shadow's presence is overwhelming, its energy suffocating. It's like it's pushing into my mind, filling it with dread, with hopelessness. I feel like I'm losing myself, slipping into that same nightmare again. And then for a brief moment, I remember something. A small fleeting thought that I can barely grasp. A memory, a warning. You can't escape the web. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why I remember it, but it feels like a truth I can't ignore. The shadow steps closer, its form growing larger with each passing second. Its dark tendrils reach out toward me, and I can feel the coldness of its touch, even though it hasn't made contact yet. The fear starts to choke me again. It's taking me back. I know it is. But something in me resists. The memory, the warning. I shake my head, trying to push the thoughts away, but they keep coming back, stronger now. You can't escape the web. The realization hits me like a punch to the gut. This isn't just some entity or demon trying to trap me. It's something much more insidious. It's the web itself. The same web that's been hunting me, trapping me, feeding on my fear. I've been running from it, but I've never really left. I've been in it the whole time. The shadow. It's just a manifestation of the web. It's a part of it, a piece of the puzzle that's been pulling me deeper into its grasp. I realize now that I'm not just stuck in this apartment. I'm stuck in a cycle, a loop, a nightmare that repeats over and over, no matter how far I run. Every time I think I escape, the web finds me again. The shadow finds me again. There's no end to it, no escape. You will never leave. The voice grows louder, more insistent. It's all around me now, inside my head, inside my chest, inside my very soul. I can feel it crushing me, suffocating me. The shadow moves closer, its cold tendrils wrapping around me, pulling me back into its embrace. But something inside me snaps. I'm not going to let it win. Not this time. I'm done running. I'm done being trapped. I won't let the web take me again. With everything I have, I force myself to break free from the shadow's grip. I break free from the voice, from the fear. I run. I don't know where I'm going, but I run, pushing through the darkness, through the suffocating walls, through the shadow itself. I'm not thinking. I'm not looking back. But then as I run, I hear something in the distance, a sound I never thought I'd hear again. A door opening, the sound of fresh air. I stop, my heart pounding in my chest. I turn around. The shadow is gone. The voice is gone. The apartment is gone. I'm standing in a hallway now, and ahead of me, there's a door. A real door. A way out. I don't hesitate. I run towards it, every step filled with the hope that maybe, just maybe, this is the end. I reach the door, my hand trembling as I grasp the cold metal handle. Every part of my body is screaming for me to open it, to leave everything behind, and step into whatever lies on the other side. I can feel the weight of it, the weight of escape, pressing on me. My fingers feel numb and my pulse races in anticipation. I turn the handle and push the door open. A gust of air hits me, sharp and cold, filling my lungs with the taste of freedom. For a split second, I hesitate. What if it's another trap? What if this is just another layer of the nightmare, another trick? But then I shake my head, pushing those thoughts away. I've come this far. I can't stop now. I step through the doorway. The world on the other side is strange. It doesn't look like the city I know. It's like a place that exists between worlds, suspended in some kind of limbo. The air is thick, and the ground is uneven, shifting beneath my feet like I'm walking on sand, though the surface feels solid. And then I hear it. The voice. But it's different this time. It's no longer a whisper or a roar. It's a clear, cold statement, cutting through the air with terrifying precision. You were always meant to be here. I freeze. The voice doesn't come from behind me this time. It's not in my head either. It's coming from all around me, from the very space itself, filling the air like a physical presence. I turn in every direction, searching for the source, But there's nothing. Just the endless shifting ground and the dark, oppressive sky above. I begin to understand. This place, this world, it's not a place of escape. It's not a refuge. It's part of the web. The same web that's been chasing me, suffocating me, dragging me deeper into its grip. This world, this new reality, is just another layer, another trick to keep me from seeing the truth. I wasn't meant to escape. I was never meant to escape. The realization hits me like a wave crashing against the shore, knocking the breath from my lungs. I am not free. I never was. The shadow, the voice, the web, these are not separate things. They're all pieces of the same terrifying puzzle. The moment I stepped through that door, I sealed my fate. I try to move, but my legs won't cooperate. It's like the world itself is holding me in place, keeping me trapped. I look around frantically, searching for any way out. But there is none. There's nothing but endless darkness and shifting sand beneath my feet. You are part of the web now, forever. I hear the voice again, louder this time, as if it's speaking directly into my mind. I want to scream. I want to fight. But deep down, I know it's pointless. The web has claimed me, and there is no escape. I fall to my knees, tears streaming down my face. I've fought. I've struggled. I've run. But it was all for nothing. The web is inevitable. It's a part of me now. It's always been a part of me. You can never leave. I feel the words, deep in my bones, as the ground beneath me shifts again. The sand swirls, lifting into the air like a storm, forming shapes, figures, twisted, horrific faces that seem to stare at me from the depths of the darkness. I try to move, to run, but it's like the very air has turned to stone, holding me in place. My breath is ragged, my vision blurred by the tears, but through the haze, I see them, the shadows, the twisted faces. They're not just in my mind. They're here, in this place. These figures are a part of the web, too. They've been watching me, waiting for me to finally understand the truth. You will never escape. The voice whispers one last time, and as the shadowy figures move closer, I realize with sickening clarity what I've known all along. This is it. This is the end. There's no way out. The web is my prison. It's my fate. And no matter how much I fight, I will always be a part of it. This is my eternity now, trapped in the web, with the shadow lurking just beyond the edges of my mind. Forever. And as I succumb to the darkness, I realize that the story isn't just mine. It's the story of everyone who's ever tried to escape. The web is always waiting, watching, wrapping its tendrils around the next soul who dares to believe they can break free. And I'm just another lost thread in the endless, tangled web. It's over. At least that's what I think in the fleeting moments before everything fades to black. The shadows close in, suffocating me, pulling me deeper into their cold, crushing embrace. But it's not a sudden darkness. It's gradual, like the light in my mind is slowly being extinguished, one piece at a time. It's as if I'm sinking into a vast, empty ocean, drowning in my own fear, my own terror. And yet even as I feel myself slipping away, there's still a part of me, a small, desperate part that holds on. Maybe I can wake up. Maybe this isn't real. But deep down, I know better now. I know that this has always been real. The shadows were never a dream. The web was never a figment of my imagination. The nightmare I've been running from, it's been my reality all along. The silence around me deepens, the weight of the void pressing against me. And then I hear something, a whisper. You are never alone. I try to move, but my limbs won't obey. It's like I'm trapped in a cage made of my own mind, unable to break free. The whispering voice grows louder, more insistent. The figures around me seem to shift and change, their faces twisting, their eyes never leaving me. You are a part of us now. The cold, icy grip around my chest tightens, and I can feel the tendrils of the web, invisible but unmistakable, crawling through every part of me. Every breath I take is weighed down by it. Every thought I have feels clouded by its presence. There's no escape from this place. There's no escape from the web. It's funny, really. I used to think the worst thing would be dying, that death was the ultimate escape. But I was wrong. The real horror is being trapped. Trapped in an endless cycle of fear, of dread, of hopelessness. The web has no end, no mercy. It consumes everything. Your mind, your soul, your very essence. And now, I'm a part of it. I can feel it inside me, moving through me, intertwining with everything I am. It's like I've been infected, and there's no cure. You belong to us now. The voices are all around me now, a chorus of whispers, of lies, of truths I can no longer distinguish. I can't fight anymore. I can't even scream. There's nothing left of me but the fear, the endless gnawing fear that this will never end. I think back on everything that led me here, the apartment, the shadows, the whispers, the feeling that something was always watching, always waiting. I thought I could escape. I thought if I ran far enough, if I hid long enough, I'd find a way out. But there was never an escape, because the web is not a place. It's a state of being, a state of mind. And I was always a part of it. I feel my body begin to fade, my senses dulling. My vision blurs and the whispers grow fainter. I feel myself slipping into the void, but it's not the sweet release I once imagined. It's suffocating, it's consuming, it's all-encompassing. As I drift further away, a final thought crosses my mind. Maybe I was never meant to leave. Maybe none of us are. The cycle is endless. The web is never finished, and I am never free.